New on Curiosity Stream.
I'm James Burke. I'm going to take you on a journey through time.
James Burke's visionary series returns, reimagined for our time.
Now, this is all uncharted territory.
The Washington Post hails Burke as one of the most intriguing minds in the Western world. The New York Times raves he careens from one great moment in history to another.
Where do we want to go from here?
Experience all new connections.
So what's the next connection?
With monthly, annual, and bundled plans, find the one that works for you at CuriosityStream.com.
Did you miss your deadline to renew your Medicaid coverage? You can still send your completed annual review form to Healthy Connections Medicaid. You may be assigned to another health plan, but you can ask to come back to First Choice within 60 days of renewed Medicaid eligibility. It's your family. It's your choice. First Choice is the right choice. Renew and choose us. Visit selecthealthofsc.com/renew to learn more.
The Pop Culture Field Manual. Welcome back, everybody, to the Pop Culture Field Manual podcast, sitting right at the intersection of weapons, action, the military, and pop culture. I'm Israel Wright, former Green Beret, and with me, as always,
Cameron Fath, former Army Ranger. Super excited to be here. Thanks for having me on your show.
Oh, thanks. It's your show too, man.
Oh, yeah. I always forget.
It's our show.
It's our show.
It's never going to be the Pop Culture Field Manual podcast with just me.
No.
Because then we'll just all...
Because then it would fail.
We'll always talk about it. We'll only ever talk about aliens. Like,
yeah, talk about aliens and you talk about Star Trek, and then you would lose everybody.
And I would just lose everybody.
Yeah. No, that'd be good, man. I'd tune into that.
It's a total nerd.
Yeah, I'd just be like... And I'd just basically be the guy wearing the Letterman jacket who's 32 years old, still wearing my high school Letterman jacket at the bar, talking about how like we won the CIF championships back in the day. And I'd be like, yeah, remember when I was on Gameology with Israel? We had our own podcast. And you're going to see me, I'm homeless, just sitting on Moore Park Road.
I have 15 million subscribers and stuff like that. I don't acknowledge you at all. I don't know who that person is.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like, but you're in 27 Gameology videos. I don't know what you're talking about.
I have no idea. It was Chris. His name is Connor. His name is... Anyways, we have a fun, exciting filled episode today. We are going to be talking about our personal experiences in the training we went through. And actually, we said we were going to do this episode. We're sticking to our guns. That's right. We're going to talk about our personal experiences in RASP and SFAS. We're also going to have those experiences, how they relate to pop culture, some movies, and if they, comparing them, do they,
Right. Is it all just a training montage that takes a couple minutes, or is it talk about things you've seen in movies and TV shows and video games, and how does it compare to actually going through something like Special Forces selection or Ranger selection and assessment? So, we'll talk about all that kind of stuff. Our personal experiences, and then things that we've seen in pop culture that maybe don't exactly line up, or maybe they do. I don't know.
Yeah, well, we're gonna dive deep into the weeds, and we're gonna talk about it.
I can't wait to talk about Seer Skull. That's the one that I feel like.
Yeah, dude, I want you to talk about Halo. I want you to talk about your time. Halo.
Oh, yeah. We can talk about all that kind of stuff.
All right, do you want to start, man?
Yeah, man.
Okay, tell us about SFAS for you.
Yeah, so SFAS stands for Special Forces Assessment and Selection, and that is, if you want to be a Green Beret, that's the first thing you do. It's like the audition, basically. Now, I was an 18 X-ray, which is a contract designator, basically, which means that normally if you want to do Special Forces, the Green Berets, you're already in the military. You're doing whatever you're doing, and then you kind of drop a packet, right? You apply, you say, hey, I want to go for it, and they give you a date, and you go for it. And you kind of have to like train yourself. You have to what is it, G2, G6? What's that? Intel, you get some pre-Intel. I forget what they used to call it, man. I used to call it like G2 or whatever.
We call it the PNN, the Private News Network.
Yeah, there you go, Private News Network. That's awesome. But anyway, you would have to try to figure out what skills you're going to need, a lot of land nav, a lot of rucking and all, and then do it on your own, then go. 18 X-rays, it was a special contract, and I think it's still around today, but you go in right off the street. Mm-hmm. You go to basic training, infantry basic training and advanced training. You go to airborne school. If you pass all of that, you go to like what's called a prep course. Back then it was called SOPC.
Still is.
Yeah? All right,
SOPC's
cool, man.
Still there.
All right, cool, man.
You're not that old, man. You still got it.
We got to do prep courses. That was the big thing with being an 18 X-ray. And all you would do during this 4-week prep course before you go to selection was PT, land navigation, and ruck marching. That's it, And so I got to do that. And then you have one more prep course right before you go into small unit tactics, you know. So for me, I got to do the prep course, and then you go to Special Forces selection, which is, back when I went through, it was about 21 days, about 3 weeks long. And it's what they call a gentleman's course. So there's no like mass punishments. You know, you're not going to be
That's
doing,
interesting,
yeah,
man.
it's just an assessment course. So when you go, you make a mistake, they're not like, do push-ups. They're like, all right. And they just kind of make a little note, and you're like, what are you writing? You know, oh, okay, they walk away, you know. What are you doing? What does that say? So the format when I went in, you know, everybody gets there. It's about 400 people in my class, and you're all staying in barracks. You know, at the time out at Camp McCall is the place where all the Special Forces kind of training takes place, or the majority of it. And there's no given like schedule. Basically, there's a whiteboard in front of the cadre's offices, and you just have somebody, we had a lookout, that was their job, a rotating lookout, to see if they write something. The moment they write something down on that whiteboard, everybody goes in, they look at it, like, okay, in an hour, we're going to do a ruck march. You're going to have, or you have a ruck with this many pounds in it, you know, 2 canteens of water, be ready to go, you know, and they wouldn't tell you what you were doing until you did it at that moment. So a little bit of class work stuff, you know, a little bit of training, and then like we have, you know, our log PT day. You know, we'd have a lot of team week. You know, which is a lot of team building exercise. That's the one where you see in all the videos, guys carrying a big log over their rucksacks, or building the
constructing apparatuses, pushing to relocate tires. And
stuff. The down soldier, the 300-pound sandbag you got to carry from A to B. You know, which was awesome. Everybody gets a chance to kind of be the leader, come up with a plan. It's like team building exercises. You know, and then you have like a final exercise, which for us at the time it was just a long ruck march. Yeah, just a long ruck march. You get up at midnight, and they say have this much weight in your rucksack, have the canteens of water and stuff, and they say start walking and follow the cones. And you don't know how long the course is. You just follow the cones out into the deep woods.
Is that one timed, or is that just a finish?
It is time to agree, but I think it was mostly just finish, because like I remember when I did it, we started at midnight. And this was one of my prouder moments. But I was walking along. Not to do my own horn, but I was actually pretty far ahead of everybody. I was always pretty good at ruck marching. That was always my strength. So I actually got off on the side of the road and I took a nap.
That's
I
awesome.
kicked my feet up. You're not allowed to do that, but I kicked my feet up.
But I did it
for about And then I got back in there, shook myself off, and I went. And I was the 8th guy.
Nice
to come in out of about at that time it was about 200 people left.
Nice.
And I got in at about 8:00 in the morning.
Yeah,
about 8
I've heard that distance for the long walks, like anywhere between like 15 to 20 something miles.
Yeah, that's what I heard. I heard that too. They had to have water points along the way and stuff. And then I think the last guy got in at like noon that day, you know, and he was limping in, you know, he was hurting. But my class of about 400 guys, about 130 made it to the end, and I think about like 60 of them got selected. You know, because you can actually make it all the way through the selection course.
You can be like, come back next time.
Yeah, they're like, I'm going to recycle you. You know, go back into this. So
brutal, dude. Well, that's cool. Yeah, honestly, I didn't know that SFAS was a gentleman's course, as you said it. Yeah. Like in my head, I thought it was just like my experience.
Everything's like Rangers, isn't it?
Yeah, no, it has to be. It's just the only thing I can compare it to. Well, I mean, for me, going through RASP, so I guess I'll start from the beginning. So I personally got an Option 40 contract, which I don't care what your recruiters tell you. It's still the same. A lot of people I've seen on Instagram, the recruiters are like, oh, you can't get the Option 40 anymore from the recruiting station. They're like, you have to join join first. That's horseshit. You can get an Option 40. Your recruiter's just being a fucking douche.
All right.
So I got an Option 40, 11 X-ray Option 40 contract. Went to infantry basic, then afterwards went to airborne went to AIT for infantry, but it's OSIT, which is one station unit training, which you did the same thing. Yeah, you do your basic and your advanced training all in one place. Yeah, typically another MOS, you'll do basic 8 weeks and then you'll go somewhere else and do your job training. Right. So infantry OSIT is all at Fort Benning in the same place. You don't go anywhere. Your 8-week graduation is like, hey, congratulations. Yeah. Now take this. Now we'll see you tomorrow. Let's see you tomorrow. So yeah, you completed that, and then I attended airborne school. And once you pass airborne school, you get picked up by the Rangers, and you'll get taken over to the Ranger cadre, and that's when the shit fucking. I remember the day we graduated from
advanced training. They's like, we're just going to march down because airborne school
is right
same
next to it.
Infantry, yeah.
It's about like a quarter mile and a half.
Yeah, we marched down there, and then they said, all right, I'm going to RASP people over there. And they got him, and then they walked off. I never saw him again.
They never saw them again. They all died. But no, yeah. So, but it's a little bit different now. Nowadays, you have to go to RASP right after basic.
Whoa,
yeah,
really?
Yeah, I'll talk about it a little bit more. I actually reached out to my buddy who I went to RASP with. I'm not going to name any names because he's a current RASP cadre now.
His name's John Smith. He's located at 542 Langham Road.
That's not his name. No, that's not his name. But he gave me the down low about what it's like right now, because I know things have definitely changed since I went in. And RASP has actually gone through an evolution. It used to be known as RIP, which is the Ranger Indoctrination Program.
That's what it was when I was in.
Yeah, and that was only about 3 weeks long, but that was like 3 weeks of fuck. that was a gut check. That was just survive. But I mean that pretty much was similar to what I experienced. I mean, once RIP became RASP, it became an 8-week course, and the first 3 weeks were also kind of, survive. That's where you do your first week where you get all your standards, and then you do Cole Range, the infamous Cole Range, which is your land nav, where you go out there and you do, I believe, it's about a week long, so it's 4 nights, 5 days of land nav every single day, and that's where you're out with no supervision, and that's where the famous phrase "hit the wood line" came from. Did you guys have that?
No.
Okay, so yeah, in Cole Range, it's just this open field in the middle of Georgia, and it's obviously around the field is like a tree line that just goes, and from one side to the other side is about like an 800-meter run.
Okay.
So for punishment, just go hit the wood line.
Oh.
So you would run like 800 meters every time they punish, and you would do that 100 times a day. Yeah, God. Just for like, oh, Johnny fucking forgot his MRE bag on the floor. Go hit the wood line. And then I was like, oh, you didn't get in your sleeping bag fast enough. Everybody get out of their sleeping bags. Go hit the wood line. And it was like you would just be up and down, up and down. It was actually kind of funny because Cole Range starts, you ruck into it. So like that Monday, you'll start at ruck. And the cool thing about RASP is you're not doing a 12-mile like right off the beginning. They do an evolution up to the 12-mile. So I think we did like a 7-mile ruck into Cole Range. But the second you get there, like the shit starts. And it was really funny because I went through in the winter time and it was cold, like 30s, like 30s, 20s in winter. And the cadre would light a giant bonfire, and they would keep it lit.
Wow!
And they said, if you quit, you can go stand by it.
Oh,
yeah. So like all the people that would quit, you'd look over at them, and they'd be like around the fire and like snivel gear, like all warm. They'd give them hot dogs, and they would barbecue and give them steaks and everything.
What?
And you would just sit there like, fuck you. But yeah, so during the day, you'd go land nav, and then you'd come back, get the shit smoked out of you. Go do night land nav, come back, get the shit smoked out of you. I think one night we slept like 15 minutes, and they make it. When we first got there, we had to build this tent that nobody knew how to build this fucking tent. So like we're all just trying to figure out. Once we got it up, that you got a time hack. So they're like, you have 2 hours to like move 1,000 sandbags that are here over there and create like a perimeter. And then they're like, build this tent. So we built the tent, we made it. And then like 2 days later, when we were doing log PT or rifle PT, they were like, okay, it was like 3:00 in the morning. And they're like, okay, go in the tent, everybody go to sleep. But there's like 100 of us. So we're in the one tent, everyone's stacked on top of each other. And you like got comfy, and then 15 minutes went by and they came in. They're like, get the fuck up, everyone, put your rucksack on. We went for a ruck run. And I was like, it was good. Dude. But yeah, so Cole Range, that's like your infamous, pretty much your gut check. But according to my buddy, he's like, a lot of things have changed in RASP now. It's kind of transitioned from a survive type of mentality, just get to the end, and they're starting to really go towards developing. So
okay.
They actually have like a standardized like shooting, breaching platform, and like up past Cole Range is where they trim the fat. But once you basically pass that first phase, which is weeks 1 through 3 or week 1 through 4, I think it was, that's when you started your like actual training. But when I went through phase 2 was still like they're treating us like shit and whatnot, and it's still a selection. But now it's more of a gentleman's course. Once you get to stage or phase 2, they treat you like adults and they actually want to train you before you get to battalion.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, he told me, he's like, yeah, man, the week of Cole Range, the students are still averaging, because you wear a tracker, so in case you get lost. So he sent me the average mileage of that week, and they do anywhere from 75 to 120 miles.
Jeez.
Yeah, of just walking through the woods.
Just walking through.
Yeah, but yeah, after I got out of Cole Range, I was like, dude, this is shitty.
What do you think about that? What do you think about that change? Because I know they recently in the regular Army, they got rid of the what's called the shark attack.
No, that still exists, man.
Yeah.
That first, like, I remember my first day. Before you start RASP, you get put in pre-RASP, which is kind of like your prep course.
Okay.
And it's not like a 4 weeks. Like, you get here 4 weeks, we'll prep, and then you go to selection. It's like whenever the next class basically goes up. And if there's enough slots, and that's alphabetical.
Okay.
So I showed up after Airborne right when they classed up. Like, I missed it. So, and then I was in pre-RASP for 2 months before I even went into RASP. Yeah, so I was there a while because I basically just missed it. So I had to wait for the next class to go up.
What do you do there?
You just PT and they let you go. And so you're just prep. Yeah, you just hang out pretty much. And it's like you're a prisoner. Yeah, after we class up, the first day was you put all your stuff in your foot locker. You did a check-in that night. You have a class leader that gets selected based off who's like the most squared away.
Yeah.
And they'll be like, all right, wake up 6 for PT. And then they came in at like 5 screaming, and they're like, everybody get downstairs. And then we did what's known as the Doughboy Run, which is also an infamous. It's basically they get like the fastest the RASP cadre with the fastest amount of time.
Nice.
And he takes you on a death run, and you just have to Doughboy Stadium in Fort Benning, which is around like a 2.5-3 mile run, I think.
Okay.
From what I remember, but this dude was flying. He was moving at like a 6:15, 6 minute for like 2.5 miles, and everyone's just trying to keep up with him. And then you get to Doughboy Stadium, and then you run the stairs, and you do more PT when you get there. But that's pretty much like your, hey, fuckface, welcome to RASP kind of first day. And then then you just are trying to, do what they ask you to do in the amount of time that's almost impossible. But yeah, you're running everywhere and you're doing it. It's definitely doable. But yeah, that's pretty much what I remember. But now he said, my buddy said that pretty much it's the same shit the first 3 weeks, but the only difference is after phase 1, they really start to work on training you and getting you ready to go to battalion. Because what I remember is like I said, I remember just survive, just get to the end. And then I learned everything once I got to battalion. Now they're really trying to mold these guys before they get to battalion. So when they get to battalion, they're just like, okay, I can send you to Ranger School now because I don't have to develop you further.
Oh, that's cool.
Which I think is awesome. Which I think is super awesome because, all the privates that I've got, now they're squared away. But when you first get them, it's like a blank slate. You have to teach them glass houses. And which is good for personal development because that means that's how Rangers get so good at just the basics, is because they literally teach the basics every fucking 8 weeks, because that's how long RASP is, and that's how when you get a new guy, so you're constantly going over the old stuff. So that's how I think that's actually really good for leader development.
That's cool, man.
But yeah, man, that's pretty much what I experienced in RASP, but what I can remember.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what? Speaking of remembering, I actually forgot two things from Special Forces selection. There's one you take about a week and you do land navigation prep, and then you do what's called the STAR course. Yeah, I totally forgot to mention that.
Infamous STAR course.
STAR course.
So that's what gets a lot of people, man.
Yeah, it gets a lot of people. So it's land navigation, and it's 3 nights worth. You get 3 chances to do, and they call it the STAR course because you have to find 5 points, and they're all at different points out in the North Carolina wilderness.
And it's not self-correcting.
No,
which self-correcting means if you find a post out there, like you don't think it's your point, usually a correcting land nav course will give you your grid so you can see where you're at.
Yep.
So if you don't, and I heard your movements are like 3 to 5K. So you're doing long.
Each one, we start at midnight, and you have, I think, until like 9 o'clock that morning to finish.
Really? It's all at nighttime?
Yeah, it's all at night, yeah. And what they do is you got a compass, you got a map, and you got a flashlight, which you're not allowed to use while moving. So you stop, you get on a knee, you check your spot, and then you continue your course and stuff. You're not allowed to go near roads or skirt roads and stuff like that.
Can't you only cross roads vertically? You can't
you have to cross them at a 90-degree angle, perpendicular angle. So you can't kind of walk along. You have to cut in, cross, go 50 meters in, and then you can take off. You know. And I actually, going back to my prep course, I was suffering really hard in the prep course in land nav. It just wasn't clicking for me. And I actually had Sergeant Summers. I'll never forget him. It's probably not his name. I totally forgot it. But no, Sergeant Summers, I remember. And he went Delta actually after that. But he was this dude that he just called me out. Like, he just like, hey, right, come over here. And we had done 2 training courses before, like the mini star prep course, and I wasn't getting it. I found 2 points out of 10. It's 5 points each. I was like, man. He's like, what's going on? I was telling him, he's like, okay, tomorrow for the third prep course, I'm going to come with you, and I'm going to do everything. I'm just going to tell you what I'm doing, And he did it. He found all 5 points. He talked about it and stuff like that. And after that, everything clicked. Everything clicked. And
it's funny. It's funny you mentioned that because land nav is like I love land nav.
Oh yeah, I love it now too.
Yeah, and it's like I honestly haven't struggled with it. I mean, I've found some points where I'm just like, what the fuck? Like, where is this thing? The map is wrong.
Yeah, right.
But like,
who wrote this?
Yeah, but land nav is like, honestly, is one of the funnest. I think it's so primitive. It's
man, it's back to nature. Yeah,
back to nature, and I like being out there.
Yeah, me too.
And that's like one of my fans. But yeah, that was one of those things. Like once it clicks, you're like, you can't forget this.
Yeah,
shit.
Yeah. I actually didn't get it the first night because I was looking for my last point, and there were 2 hills on the map that had the similar kind of formation, and there was a point on each one, and I found the wrong point, so I didn't get the first night. But I got it the second point. I got in at like 6 a.m. I was like,
yeah, good.
Yeah, it was good. It was really
That's
good.
funny, man.
And then the second one that I forgot was the Nasty Nick obstacle course, which is kind of a fun event. It doesn't take very long, but it's kind of like, what's the Ranger obstacle course?
There's the Darby Queen.
The Darby Queen, that's right. That's like the famous one. But Nasty Nick is like, we're gonna have an obstacle course too,
Yeah.
And that was another that we have a whole day where they just run us through the Nasty Nick course, and I remember that being a lot of fun. That was where I got over a couple of fears, a couple of phobias in my time in the military. One was of seeing other men naked. And the second one,
see a lot of penis.
Yeah, you just got to get over it. And the second one was my fear of my claustrophobia, because there's one part of Nasty Nick where it's basically just a tunnel in the ground, like a concrete tunnel, and the circumference actually gets smaller as you crawl. And what they did is they put a bunch of us in there, nut to butt, and then they stop, and you just have to like hang out there. And so I'm touching somebody's butt to my head. Somebody's touching their head to my butt. And then what they did is they've turned a hose on. And they started having water flow down. Yeah. So you're like, the water's kind of filling up a little bit and stuff. And they're just like, you're just hanging out there.
Yeah, just chill, man.
And I was like, this isn't happening. And so I just breathed, and that was good. And I was like, that was the moment that I kind of got over it.
Yeah, it's fun. Yeah, Klaus, you learn to get over shit really quick. The Darby Queen is actually different from the one you do in RASP. You do the Downing Mile in RASP, and that's just like through the forest with obstacles. So it's a mile. Yeah.
All right. Cool.
And that one was actually fun.
Kind of like one of those like Ragnarok runs or Ragnarok. Yeah. Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Like a Spartan race.
Spartan race. Okay. Cool.
And it's just through the forest, and they have a bunch of just.
Do you think that's where they got it from? Spartan race? Do you think they got it from the military?
They probably did. Yeah. Unoriginal fucks. No, I actually wanted to do one. But anyways, let me.
Yeah. Go ahead.
So the Darby Queen is like, it's almost a joke. Those obstacle courses, they have you standing in a line, and like we had to sing cadence the entire time waiting for our turn, because they give you a partner to do it with. And I remember specifically one dude broke his ribs on the that one log that you have to climb up it, and then you have to jump and like bear hug the other logs to get
like
up
too
on
far
top.
away. Yeah, but you still got to make it.
Yeah, so you still got to go, and if you don't jump far enough, like you'll fall. And this guy like hit the log so hard that he broke 2 ribs, and he actually went through Ranger school with 2 broken ribs.
Whoa,
yeah, he was a tough guy.
hardcore.
He was a tough guy. But yeah, it was just the same thing as any obstacle course, but they just made it stupid. Honestly, the funnest obstacle course you go through in Ranger school, which I thought it was fun, but it's supposed to be like the hard one, is Malvesti.
Malvesti? I don't even know
that's
about
like
this
the
one.
famous thing where like you see where they have the hose and they're just like, and everybody's standing there with their hands up and like they're spraying you down. But honestly, I just liked having fun like that. So like, and the entire time you're literally screaming Ranger, Ranger, Ranger for like an hour. But I was just making fun of it. So like they'd spray me in the face. I'm like, yeah, it was a good time.
That's cool, man.
Yeah, but you're soaked. It's like at night and it's pretty cold. For some reason, I always went through my schools like in the middle of winter. So.
New on Curiosity Stream,
I'm James Burke. I'm going to take you on a journey through time.
James Burke's visionary series returns, reimagined for our time.
Now, this is all uncharted territory.
The Washington Post hails Burke as one of the most intriguing minds in the Western world. The New York Times raves he careens from one great moment in history to another.
Where do we want to go from here?
Experience all new Connections.
So what's the next connection?
With monthly, annual, and bundled plans, find the one that works for you at CuriosityStream.com.
Yeah, no, Malvesti was fun. If you YouTube it, I'm pretty sure they have a bunch of videos on it. And that one was so much fun. I had a great time.
That's cool.
And I'm not joking. Like, it was so much fun. And everyone's like, this is supposed to be the hardest shit ever. But I was like, I'm having a blast. They're spraying me down, and I have to, like, sit here with my, like, head between my legs while someone, like, jumps over me. And I'm like, what the heck? But yeah, man. That's kind of cool because, I mean, how many obstacle courses do you like see in the movies? Like,
right. It's always like the swinging from rope to rope.
Yeah,
ones,
rope to rope, monkey bars.
Yeah, like, Captain Marvel, she's on the rope, she falls down. And stuff. The obstacle. I wonder where they find these obstacle courses.
I don't know, or at least where they get these the inspiration for it. Like, because I always, in my opinion, I think they pretty much a little bit make it, I'm looking for the right words here, they emphasize, like, military movies, like, they'll emphasize the training to make it look harder than it is, because they're like, military, super hard.
They'll kind of blow it up a little bit.
Just like, for example, in Jarhead, when he's going through boot camp and they have the 240s like shooting overhead and that guy stands up and gets fucking cunked. And I'm like, I mean, now it might be different, obviously, from back then, because that movie is the push to Iraq.
Yeah, it was like 2001 or 3 or something.
But I don't think they did that. I mean, we did something similar.
We did too.
But the guns were like super high.
Yeah, they were like 15, 20 feet. You couldn't jump. You couldn't jump.
If you stood up and you jumped, you wouldn't get shot. But that one was called like the Night Infiltration. Wasn't that Nasty Nick too?
No, not Nasty Nick. No, nothing like that.
I know it had like
that
a
was
nickname.
Basic training.
Yeah, that was
That's
basic
when we
training.
did it,
yeah, and that was. I thought it had a nickname, but that was Night Infiltration Training.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I remember because I was number 1. I finished first.
Yeah,
and that's how I knew I was meant to be a fucking stud.
Did you go through the mini obstacle course in Basic that's on Fort Benning?
Yeah,
that you it's like a big U, and you come around. You have to crawl through the cold water underneath the barbed wire.
Yeah, I did that. Did you compete?
No, I didn't do the compete. Did you ever do Best Ranger?
Okay, so I was.
All right, do tell.
When I call him First Sergeant Horsager. So First Sergeant Horsager, I don't know if he's a First Sergeant still, but at the time he was Sergeant First Class. He won Best Ranger in like 2017, and he was best friends with my First Sergeant at the time. And like every time I'd go out to the bar, I would see this guy, and he would always have just like a beautiful woman on his arm, just like your classic stud, like Ranger First Sergeant if he wasn't married, just like just slaying poon, drinking beers, just being the coolest guy ever. And I wanted to be him so bad. And I'd get wasted with my buddy that see him at the bar, and I'd always point at him because obviously you if you're a Ranger, you recognize other Rangers at the bar, and I would always point at him, and I'd go, I'm coming for your fucking spot, man. And he told my First Sergeant that I kept messing with him when we were out on the weekends. And my First Sergeant comes up to me and he's like, Fath, you messing with Horsager? And I was like, no. And he's like, well, guess what? You're doing Best Ranger this year.
Whoa!
And I was like, fuck, because I didn't want to do it.
You didn't want
I didn't want to do it because I just took a fire team at the time. And we were slotted to go to Afghanistan. So I was like, I kind of would rather train to go to Afghanistan with my fire team that I just got than go fuck around. And but I mean, now I regret it because we lost that Afghanistan deployment to another company.
Okay.
So they stayed back anyways.
You know what I want to do, and maybe this can be something that we keep track of. But they do that the commemorative march, Baton Death March. I want to do that, man.
Yeah, man. I'm trying to put together a team. And for those of you that don't know, the Baton Death March is in honor of the Baton Death March in World War II. It was a 64
Philippines Army.
Yeah, the Philippines and the Japanese basically forced march the American and Filipino POWs about 64 miles.
Yep.
And a lot of people died, and every year they do a 26.2 mile road march to commemorate it.
Yeah, and then if you ever seen the movie The Great Raid is about the U.S. forces going in and liberating that camp.
Yeah, basically rescuing the camp.
Yeah, because they were going to kill them. Japanese were retreating, and they were just going to kill them all.
Yeah, they're killing all the POWs because they're like, we have nothing to do. So.
Yeah, it's hard to find those challenges out in the civilian world that really challenged you the way that the training did in the military. If there's no feeling feeling quite like it. I think CrossFit for me has been the closest to that feeling of inside that internal pain and struggle when you're in the midst of something.
Not to mention it's extremely competitive.
Yep, extremely competitive.
You're always trying to be the best. Yep. And that's why I kind of like being in the Guard, because, I mean, there's a handful of people with Ranger tabs, and the National Guard is actually ranked they've won a couple Best Rangers.
No kidding.
Yeah. So,
guys in National Guard have gone into Best Ranger.
Yes, because it's the only thing that you're required to do to compete in the Best Ranger is have attended and successfully completed Ranger School.
No kidding.
So all the units have Best Ranger teams that they send forth and compete in the games. But yeah, they're hard. My platoon sergeant ended up doing it right when I left. I don't know how he did, but he was a stud muffin.
Right on,
yeah.
Man. You know, it's funny. It's this kind of stuff. Some of the stuff that you see in like movies and stuff, it's like, yeah, that's pretty all right. But you're right. They do kind of like, they blow it up and make it like 10 times, you know, like just they Hollywoodize it, you know, they not romanticize, but they, you know, take artistic license. Like SEER School. Like I went to SEER School. I got to go to SEER School during the Q course. For those that don't know, selection is actually just the first step to actually start training to become a Green Beret. Yeah. And then you have small unit tactics.
You still have to pass the Q course. So you can pass selection, but if you fail something in the Q, you're out.
You just go needs of the Army.
Yeah,
usually 82nd Airborne, you get kicked out. Yeah. But it takes about 1.5 to 2 years, depending on what your job is. Like Delta's, it's a year training just for the medical stuff. Yeah. But SEER School, Survival, Evasion, Resistance, and Escape, you know, it's you learn survival tactics, you know, you learn evasion tactics out in the woods, resistance tactics when you get captured, and then, you know, how to escape, you know, eventually you get liberated, but
you get liberated.
But you know, the will to survive, the will to hold on to information. And I just remember things like G.I. Jane, you know, that like he's like punching her and tossing her around. Like they, you know, when I was in Syria, you know, they had like these weird rules, right? Where there was like regulations, like they could hit you, but they had to do it. They had to do
open hand.
Open hand, and it could only be the distance between your shoulder and your face. That was all they had to build up like momentum. They couldn't rear back and like, you know, really.
So you know it's coming because they put their hand up.
Because they're like, come, and you're like, oh, here we go, and go whack, you know. And boy, those guys, they got really good. But from here to here, that's not.
It's like Bruce Lee 1-inch punch.
Yeah, it's like you know. And I remember the first time I got hit, you know, and I must have looked surprised because they're all role players, right? They're all like your fellow, you know, whatever. You know, you see him out in the street. You were at SEER School, and like he said, comrade, and he hits me. And I must have looked surprised because they were all, look at him, they're laughing at me and stuff and belittling me. But, you know, stuff like that, yeah. But it was, you know, it was no like, they would put you in cold water. They'd put you in the stocks and stuff like that. But they're not like, you know, Viggo Mortensen going after Demi Moore, you know, punching her, kicking her, you know, throwing her around and stuff like that.
Which, I mean, it is true to an extent, thinking about like the people you don't like and the people that end up being on the shit list of like the platoon when you're going through training. Yeah, they get the shit beat out of them. Let's be honest. Let's not try to cover anything up. They get exiled, and they get
the guy. Yeah, and see, that's the thing is that they cull the weak ones of the herd. You know what I mean? Like I remember we were, you know, SEER School is hard to fail out of because like obviously you're going to be like, I don't want to be here. Like, do pad, comrade. You're in the People's Republic of Pineland now. Yeah. You know? But there was one dude that we were getting, and when we got captured, it's a whole scenario where you get captured and there's role players and stuff, and they roll you up, and we're in this big truck or this van, and there's no AC, and we got bags over our heads, you know, so it's really hard, and the air you're breathing is really hot. And one dude started to freak out. He got claustrophobia. He's, please, I gotta get out of here. He's like freaking out, and they stopped the van. He's like, shut up, and they roughed him up a little bit and stuff. I don't know. I never saw him again. You know,
they never saw him after that day. Yeah. I mean, because those dudes, you suffer because of those guys. So that's the whole point. It's like they weed out the weak, and it's like either adapt or get the fuck out. Because like, people, for those of you that don't know, a lot of punishment comes from like one bystander.
Right.
So they use group punishment when you're going through selection, and that in hopes will put it at a level to be handled by you. So yeah, so like I know that like we can basically weed out the weak on our own level. It doesn't have to be the cadre smoking us. And I mean, like, what goes on behind the scenes, they don't care.
Well, here's the thing, and for those of you that are like getting ready to call your senators or, you know, your activist groups, like the point is that your actions don't just affect you; they affect everyone around you, and you can get somebody killed in a combat situation.
Exactly.
You know, so you want the people on your left and your right to be reliable, and to you want to know that they can handle this stuff just like you can handle this stuff.
Yeah.
You know, and so it may seem harsh, but there's a purpose behind this
Exactly.
kind of like culling of the herd.
And
kind
if
of
you
thing.
don't want to work as a team, don't even think about joining.
Yeah,
Because
no.
you're gonna fuck everything up.
That's right. Yeah, you don't want to be a hero. You know.
Okay, man.
Dude,
That was good.
there's so much more we could say. We'll have to do maybe we'll do another episode
Yeah.
again sometime.
If
you
we
know.
miss something, guys, like we always say,
Yeah.
just shoot us an email or a DM at
you have
PCFM
something-
Podcast.
yeah, yep,
At Gmail.
Sorry.
You're good, man. Shoot us an
I'll say it again.
Yeah, do it.
PFCM. Wait.
PCFM.
PCFM. Maybe I won't say it. PCFM podcast at gmail.com.
Yeah,
Sorry.
send us an email if we missed something or you want us to talk about a little bit more, something like elaborate deeper. Just shoot us an email. But we're gonna go ahead and switch gears over to our game, and I am not allowed to look at the game. Am I not?
am very excited about this game. So last episode, it was me me playing the game, and Cameron was feeding me the stuff, and now I'm
payback.
Now the payback is very sweet. So this one's called. Is it a military movie or an adult film? So
If
I'm
I
gonna
know
give
any
you-
of these adult films, my girlfriend's gonna fucking kill me.
Just get all of them wrong, just to be safe,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
All
Okay,
right.
I always try everything I do.
It's right there in the title, man. I'm going to give you the title, and you tell me if it's a military movie or an adult film. All right?
And if
So-
what if it's a military movie that I want to be an adult film?
Then we'll call up a producer. We'll
Okay.
get some money together.
Good job on this one. I'm excited. All right, man.
All right.
Let me have it.
The first title of the movie is The Army Nurse.
That's a giveaway. That's a real movie.
Is it?
Yes.
Wrong.
That's wrong?
It is an adult film.
God damn, I knew it was an adult film, but I wanted to be like, yeah, woman empowerment.
Yeah,
we're gonna do
see,
this in
you're a
Hollywood.
respectful guy.
I'm
Yeah,
respectful,
it's
yeah.
some period drama about a World War II nurse, you know, or something
Exactly.
like that,
The
making her
Army
way.
nurse. All right, and I'm over here underneath the table writing all these names down
For
to check them out
research later
for research
on.
purposes later.
I don't believe you. I'm gonna have to
I don't
find out
believe
for
you.
myself.
Okay.
All right.
All
Next
right.
one is
Now to start thinking with my head.
Yeah, all right.
My other head.
the next one is Private Benjamin.
That's a movie. That's
a movie.
That is a real movie.
You are correct. It is a
Yeah.
movie. Yes.
Haven't seen it, but I've heard of it.
Okay. All right.
That's
cool.
an older film.
That's not one I've heard of. You know.
It's from the 70s. It has Goldie Hawn.
Oh,
She's like this privileged person, and she joins the army as like to piss her mother off or something. And then
now I
she,
know what you're talking
she actually
about.
gets into it. So
I
yeah.
remember. I'm scared. I could see.
You
the
really want to
poster
piss her
right now.
off? Should have gotten the adult movie.
The Army Nurse. She'd have been the Army
She
Nurse.
could have been the army nurse.
Yeah.
It's a good movie. You should check it out.
Next one is The Train.
This could go both ways.
You got a 50-50 shot,
This
man.
could go both ways. The Train. It could be. I'm pretty sure there is a zombie movie called The Train. It's like Korean or something.
Oh, that's Train to Busan.
Okay, never mind. Thanks for giving that away. That is an adult film.
All right. You
Final
are wrong.
answer. That's a
You're
real
wrong.
movie.
That's a real movie. The Train.
I really wanted to. That would be a great adult film title.
Now I can see the genius of this game.
Yes.
So the next
I
one.
want to see your Chris. I want to see your browser history after like looking up all these adult films.
I used an incognito browser.
Yeah, I used the
I was
VPN.
terrified.
He used the VPN.
You went to
I
the
was
dark
like, someone's
web.
going to check my browsing history and be like, why is he looking up adult films?
Yeah, military adult films.
right.
Yeah,
Okay.
specific, a very niche.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right? All right.
Okay.
The next one is The Big Red One.
The Big Red One. That's a real movie.
Are you sure?
Yes, because
You are correct.
the Big Red One is
First Infantry.
First Infantry out of Kentucky.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
Kansas?
World War
Something
II.
like
They
the
World War
Big
II.
Red
is
One,
big.
that's
I remember
a-
the patch.
God, now I'm thinking about it like hell. Like porno's got a lot to work with if they ever wanted.
They got a lot
I'm
of-
over here thinking you're gonna use like Black Cock Down or like Saving Ryan's Privates.
Shaving Rivals.
Yeah,
Not that I would know. but-
Yeah, Shaving Ryan's Privates.
Next one is Tail Gunners.
Okay, that's a porno.
You sure?
Come on, I'm 100% sure that's a porno.
You are correct. Tail
Okay.
Gunners is a porn.
Tail Gunners.
Tail Gunners.
Why are you 100% sure?
I may.
Maybe it's
or
about
may not.
B-52 belly gunners. I don't
Yeah,
know.
exactly. Man. Deployments. You have a lot to do on deployments.
Not too many tail gunners.
Not too many tail
Probably
gunners,
period
though.
piece. All right, next one. Kelly's Heroes.
Kelly's Heroes? Oh. Isn't that a real movie?
I don't know.
But this is another one that could go both ways.
Is Kelly a guy or a girl? It depends, And does it matter?
I'm just going to say fucking and say it's an adult movie.
Wrong. It is a movie.
It is a real movie?
Yeah. Was it a show?
No, it was. You're thinking of Hogan's Heroes.
Hogan's Heroes. Okay.
Kelly's Heroes. Clint Eastwood, Telly Savalas. Great movie. Definitely worth it. They do a bank heist.
Oh, really?
Oh, cool.
In the middle of World War II.
That's awesome. I gotta watch that. That's cool. All right, last one.
Last
of this
one.
Game.
I wish this game could last forever. It's fun. I'm having a great time.
It's wild that there are so many options out there. The last one is Hearts and Minds.
Hearts and Minds. That has to be a real movie.
Wrong. It is an adult film.
That's an adult film?
Look, it's all about the story, Cameron.
It's all about the story. God, I did terrible. Like it's like my conscience is coming in. I'm like, that could be that's a great movie title.
You just need
and
to
everything.
relax and just let yourself go.
Where's your mind's in your penis and your heart's in your snatch? Like, I get it.
That was awesome, folks.
That was a great game. That was awesome. I hope you guys enjoyed playing that game.
This was fun. It was fun reminiscing. It was fun thinking about adult films and
Exactly.
which ones are military movies.
Which ones are not. I'm going to go watch The Train.
The Train.
Dude, that was so good. Are you sure that's not an adult movie?
The Army nurse.
I'm positive.
Yeah.
Okay.
The way I did the research, there's no mistake.
You were extremely thorough.
I definitely know which website I was looking at adult films and which one I was looking at legitimate films.
Dude.
The Internet
Kudos to you,
Adult
Chris.
Movie Database.
Taking risks. Everybody needs to go ahead and give Chris a round of applause just for the amount of risk he takes in tearing his family apart.
For the sake of the podcast.
For the sake of this podcast.
All right, team. Yep.
Yep.
That's all the time we got for today. We really appreciate everybody joining us. If you want to say hi to us or catch up with us or send us a DM, you can go to PCFM Podcast on Instagram, or you can send us an email, pcfmpodcast@gmail.com. If you want to hang out with me a little bit more, I stream live on Twitch 3 days a week, twitch.tv/myhappyself.
And
Cameron.
if you want to check out my streetwear brand, KitGod, you can go ahead and find us on Instagram at KitGod Apparel, or you can go ahead and find us on our website at www.kitgodapparel.com. Thanks from the bottom of my heart, and you know what they say.
Every day, my company gets scam phishing emails trying to get money or sensitive info. I wanted to protect my employees and my clients, so I checked out CISA's Secure Our World. They've got simple ways we can protect our businesses from online threats. First, teach employees to recognize and report phishing. Next, require strong passwords plus multi-factor authentication. And finally, turn on automatic updates for your business software. To learn more, go to CISA at cisa.gov/Secure Our World.
Wells Fargo presents one of the surest ways to grow your money. A Wells Fargo CD account, where you can earn a 5.00% annual percentage yield on an 11-month term with a minimum opening deposit of $5,000. Visit a Wells Fargo branch or wellsfargo.com/CD rates to open a CD account and start growing your savings with us.
Wells Fargo Bank, N.A., member FDIC.